The last topic we're going to take a look at in this section on business insurance or fire insurance is this idea of co-insurance. And what co-insurance is all about is that part of the risk of the fire is assumed by the business taking out the insurance policy. So you see this co in here, co-insurance. So this implies there's two parties involved in providing insurance here. One is the insurance company that the property owner actually buys the policy from, and then the other person here assuming insurance is the actual owner of the property. So in co-insurance, the property owner is willing to gamble to save some money on insurance. So they don't buy the full amount of the replacement in their policy. So in other words, for co-insurance, the amount of insurance bought, the face value of the policy is less than the amount of the replacement value of the property, as I said before. So what the person is saying is, okay, this building is going to cost $1 million to replace, but I have a lot of other expenses and I don't really want to pay, or I can't pay the insurance premiums involved to buy $1 million policy. So I'm going to buy a policy for, say, I don't know, let's say $800,000 and keep my fingers crossed that I never need to cash in and get $1 million worth of coverage. So why do people do this? Again, because it's expensive. They have other expenses and are willing to take the risk. And then here, this was in your text, that most fires involve only partial damage and complete destruction is rare. So the chances of you losing the entire building are not as high as only partial damage, so less coverage would be sufficient in that case. So obviously the insurance companies know people do this and they don't want to lose any money. They're out to make as much money as they can. Hope nobody out there listening works for an insurance company and takes insult to that. But what the insurance companies do is they require a certain percent of the replacement cost of the property. So the insurance company says, okay, in this policy, we're going to require you have whatever the percent is, and we'll know the percent in the examples, of the replacement cost of the property. And you have to have at least that much insurance that you bought from us in order to get full protection should anything happen to you. And if you don't have at least that amount, we're not going to pay the full amount. And we're going to look at what they do pay. Then this next item speaks to that. If the amount of the insurance is less than that certain required percent of replacement cost, the insurance company isn't going to pay the full amount of the loss. They're only going to pay a portion. So how much is it going to be? In here, the amount the insurance company pays is going to be the amount of the loss times the amount of the policy, the face value of the policy, over the percent of replacement cost that's required. So we'll look at two examples to make this clear. Just to note here, something important that you should know is an insurance company will never pay more than the face value of a policy, never more. So say you have $1 million policy and your building, you had some extra stuff in there that you didn't consider when you bought the policy. And so now instead of $1 million, let's say you had $2 million now. That insurance, they're not going to pay $1 million. That's your face value of your policy. That's all the insurance company is going to pay. They're not going to pay any more than the face value of the policy, nor will they pay more than the amount of the loss. So back to that, say you have $1 million policy and you have $500,000 worth of damages, fire damages, so it's not a complete loss. And the insurance people come in, the inspectors come in, and they determine 500, it was only half lost. Well, you only will get that $500,000. So even though you had the policy for the million, they're not going to pay you more than the actual loss that was involved. Okay, so looking at these examples here using the coinsurance idea. So Joe O'Neill owns an industrial building valued at $760,000. So this here, this valued at, this is the replacement cost. So valued at replacement cost of this building. Her fire insurance policy has an 80% coinsurance clause. And she bought the policy. The face value of the policy is $570,000. Okay. So we have the replacement value and we have the insurance that she bought. The building unfortunately suffers a fire loss of $144,000. Find the amount of the loss that the insurance company will pay. So how much of this $144,000 is the insurance company going to pay, and how much must this person, O'Neill, pay? So because of this coinsurance clause, we have to take a look at that first to see, was there enough insurance? So we take the replacement cost, the $760,000, and multiply it. I'm going to use the decimal form now just to remember how to do that, times the 80%, and we get $608,000. So this is that 80% of replacement that the insurance company is going to require. Now, she had, I'll put versus here, she had $570,000 face value. So we can see she bought $570,000. 80% of the replacement is more than that. So she did not buy enough insurance to satisfy this replacement. So underinsured, according to the insurance company. They said, you have to have a minimum of 80% here. You have to have a minimum, in this case, of $608,000. She only bought $570,000. So according to the insurance company, she did not buy enough insurance. So to calculate how much the insurance company is going to pay of this $144,000, we have the $144,000. And now we have to multiply it by this fraction here, which in the numerator is the amount of the policy. So in this case, it's $570,000. And then in the denominator here is the percent replacement cost. In this case, the 80% replacement cost, which is our $608,000. So you might do this actual calculation a number of ways. You multiply the 144,000 times the numerator and then divide by the 608. What I'm going to do is the 144,000. If I do this division here, I get 0.9375. And doing this multiplication gives $135,000. So this is what the insurance pays. So the insurance is going to pay that amount. And now, how much does she have to pay? So we have the $144,000 minus the $135,000 that the insurance company pays. And so $9,000 O'Neill pays. Okay, so with insurance, even though the face value of her policy was larger than the damages, The insurance company, if they require a coinsurance, they're not going to flat out pay the total losses. You have to multiply the amount of the coinsurance by the replacement value to find that minimum that they want. If your policy is less than that, then you have to prorate the amount of the damages to see how much you're going to get. Last example here. Swedish investment group owns a warehouse with a replacement cost of $3,450,000. Company has a fire insurance policy with a face value of $2,950,000. Again, an 80% coinsurance clause. The firm has a fire loss of $233,500, and we want to find out who's going to pay what. So let's take a look to see, do they have enough insurance? So the replacement cost, $3,450,000 times the 80% says $2,760,000. So this is that 80% replacement. The face value here, so versus a face value policy of $2,950,000 face value. So let's look at this. Let's think about this. This owner of the warehouse bought a policy for $2,950,000. The insurance company says you have to have a minimum of 80% replacement value. So they have enough insurance here. So they've satisfied this clause. The face value is more than the 80% replacement. So there's no need to prorate. They are 100% covered. So of this loss here, then, the $233,500 is the insurance pays. So the insurance pays the full amount of the loss, and the Swedish group pays nothing because they are fully insured. So with this coinsurance, there's going to be an amount stated. So what you're going to always have to do is take that percent, multiply the value of the building, the value of the property, by that, in this case, in both of these, 80%, to determine the requirement of the insurance company for insurance purposes. If the face value of the policy is bigger than that 80%, no worries, insurance company pays 100% of the losses. If that face value, as in this example, is less than that requirement of the insurance company, then in order to find out how much of the damages the insurance company pays, you make a ratio with the face value of the policy on top and the 80% requirement on the bottom. You don't need to have that memorized because you have, this up here to reference, and come time for the test, you will have this to reference. You just have to know how to use it.